So we've had quite a week down here in Florida. We began our road trip on Friday, I believe. Friday or Saturday. I don't even remember anymore. But we headed down here to Florida, and it has been full of all kinds of things. And unfortunately, yesterday, we had some pretty bad damage happen to the car. Now, relatively speaking, it's probably not terrible, but a lot of that is because I have done a lot to this car to protect it just in case of a situation just like what happened to us. Now, on the way down, we did chip the window thanks to a rock that came flying off of a truck on the highway. I don't know what it is about this Model Y, but I keep getting window chips for some reason, and I don't know what's causing it. I don't know why we keep having this issue, but here's the thing. When I went on my epic solo road trip, right before that road trip, something must have happened. We must have got a rock chip somewhere that I couldn't really see it very well, because that windshield ended up cracking all the way up. And this window, now I have a huge rock chip, and I have another small rock chip that we also got on our way down. So I don't know what's causing this. We never had a single chip on our first Model Y. And I'm not suggesting that the glass has changed or anything has changed, but it's really interesting that this particular one seems to be having issues with rock chips. Now, I'm starting to look into solutions for this because I'm not going to continue to replace the windshield. I had to replace the windshield, and I had a $500 deductible to do so. So fortunately, I only had to fork out $500, but that's still a lot. A long time ago, I had to replace a windshield, and it was like $350. So just so you know, to replace a windshield on a Tesla Model Y, I think if I remember right, it was like $1,600. And there's probably a way to save a little bit, but not much, by going with an aftermarket company. But when you're talking about replacing the windshield, the autopilot cameras and everything else are attached to that. So you might want to be cautious about letting anybody but Tesla touch that windshield. Anyways, let's get back on track here. So I got to get Safelite out here to fill this little chip that I have on the windshield before it turns into a big crack. I think we'll be okay there. But here's what happened. I was rolling down a 55-mile-an-hour road here in the Tampa area. So I was probably doing about 60 miles an hour. It was normal flow of traffic, and the car in front of me, unfortunately, was hiding something that I didn't see in the middle of the road, and it was a freaking tree branch. And so it was probably a 3 or 4 foot long tree branch, and I hit it square on with the front wheels, and it went airborne. And unfortunately, because I was moving at 60 miles an hour while it was going airborne, the rear of my car made contact with it, and it put a pretty huge dent in that door. And unfortunately, it hit it in a bad spot. So you can really see this. And unfortunately, because of the body lines where it makes that wheel well on that rear door, there is a transition. So this isn't going to be a super simple fix. I have been told by at least 2 people that this will be able to be fixed, but the fixed solutions don't sound that great. Now, here's the good news. I have PPF all over this car. If you recall, I started by doing PPF on the entire front of the car, and that was for all the road trips that we do. There's a lot of things that hit the front of this car, and I don't want to deal with paint issues or big messes in the front of this car. I know you can repaint a car, whatever. I don't want to deal with any of that. So PPF, and since I did it myself, I saved thousands. Now, I worked my way back. The second piece of PPF I did the whole middle of the car. So it was both doors and these pillars all the way to the back. And then finally, I routed it around all the way to the rear of the vehicle. So I did it in 3 stages, and it probably cost me about $2,000 to do it myself. The best quote I saw on getting PPF on this whole car for my area, I think it was about $5,000. So I saved more than half by doing it myself. Is it perfect? No, absolutely not. And if you look close, you can see imperfections here and there. And I did not correct any paint issues that may have been there from when we got the car, but it works perfect. And this is a perfect example of why you might want to consider getting PPF to begin with. So because I had PPF on that door, I only have a dent to worry about. Now, because of the speed, the velocity that tree branch hit that door, that absolutely would have tore up the paint on that door as well, had I not had PPF there. So here's what we're looking at. The quotes that I have so far, I got 2 quotes. One of them was for a simpler method of fixing it, and one of them was for quote unquote the right way to fix it, which is to take the door completely off apparently. So the first method was to drill a hole on the inside of the door to get a tool in there to work this dent out. And to do that, it's $650 or $700, which is crazy money. A lot more than I was expecting. So I'm going to continue to get quotes for doing that. But I'm going to have to drill a hole to do that. Now that hole can be plugged, and it will be plugged after that's done. But the alternative was to remove the door completely, and that quote was $1,600. So I'm not about to go down that path. So I've got to find a way to do this that's the least disruptive to the car, but also can accomplish the goal and make it look like this never happened. Here's the other nice thing. Because of the way that you fix a dent like this is you have to get behind the dent, and you're going to use a tool to push that dent out in some way. I'm simplifying what these professionals do, and they are professionals. It is an art. By doing that, I may not even have to replace the PPF, because here's the thing. It didn't tear through the PPF. PPF did exactly what it was designed to do, which was to protect the paint in case of an impact. And in this case, it was a 60-mile-an-hour pass over a tree limb. I am so glad that I have that PPF, and I am so happy with the way it performed. So I may not have to replace that PPF, but if I do, I'm out maybe $100 or maybe even less. I don't know how much just one door is, but it's not going to be anything near what it was going to cost to have that door removed, the dent put out, and then respray the thing. And whenever you respray a car, now your car is potentially going to look like it has been in an accident, and you have to deal with all that stuff. So I am so glad that I have that PPF. If you have not considered doing PPF, this is a case study on why you should think about it, at least think about getting PPF. That PPF is going to save me thousands of dollars just by having that door protected. I just saved thousands of dollars. All I have is a dent to deal with rather than a respray. And in some cases, they can't get the paint perfect, so they have to respray the areas around it. So possibly this front door and that rear bumper and quarter panel. So it's just, you're opening yourself up to a mess of issues. If you have a white Model Y, I know that white is almost impossible. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult to get that to match from the Tesla's white. So something to really, really think about. Absolutely strongly recommend PPF on the front of your car. It's not easy to do the bumper, but the rest of it is very manageable. So if you do the hood and the fenders first, you'll kind of get into a groove before you tackle that front bumper. And then the rest of the car is a lot easier than the bumper. So something to really think about. And for those of you who already did the front of your car, maybe time to think about doing the doors too. I am constantly dealing with my children opening and closing these doors. So when we're in parking lots, I knew I wanted to protect these doors from door dings. That was my intent. I didn't realize down the line I was going to run over a freaking tree in Florida, and it was going to shoot at speed at the side of this car. And sure enough, here we are. I will update you guys, of course, when I do get this fixed and how much that ended up costing me. And I will try my best to get an idea of what it would have cost had I not had that PPF to give you true numbers. But I'm telling you, I saved well over $1,000 by having that PPF there. So I have already paid for half of the PPF just in the repairs that would have had to have been done on this door if it needed to be resprayed. I can't even imagine. So I am going to get a quote on what it would cost to get that sprayed, and then we'll see how this ends up. But this is a moral of a story here. Consider strongly getting PPF. You can do this yourself. I have done this entire car. I've done the front end of the Model 3, and I'm working my way back now. I already have the kits. I just need to install them now. And after this, I want to install them sooner rather than later, because now I'm paranoid about this happening again. So, although not great news for me, this is an awesome learning opportunity for you at my expense. If you're interested in giving it a shot, totally worth at least trying to do it yourself to save thousands, go to driveprotected.shop, enter code BTG to save 20% on those PPF kits. Now, these prices used to be listed in Canadian, but I am told as of today, they are now in US dollars. So that way there's no more trying to figure out conversion rates and things like that. So it makes it simple. Code BTG will save you 20%. Seriously consider the situation I am in this exact moment and what you would do if you were in this situation. And maybe it starts to make more sense why PPF might be right for you. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, give it the thumbs up. If you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel as we continue to post content regularly. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram @BeardedTesla. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.